Hello everyone, greetings from Delhi. My name is Malini, Mehra, and I'm with the Center for Social Markets. I'm afraid I can't be with you in person today to join you for your climate leadership training, but I'm grateful to the organizers for giving myself and CSM an opportunity to share with you some of the work and the experiences that we're doing on climate change and leading a climate change revolution in India. Climate change brings very real dangers, but also very real opportunities for India. Let's look at some of the dangers that climate change brings to India. And remember, these are not dangers in a far and distant tomorrow, but actually these are dangers that we're facing at present. We're facing the danger of sea level rise, of sea surges, of floods, of salinization of water tables, of declining water tables, of droughts, of floods in many parts of the world, of the country, which are displacing people, creating homelessness and losing livelihoods. We're facing the threat to our glaciers, where it's estimated that 40% of the Himalayan glaciers will be lost in 35 years. Of course, in the beginning, these will see torrential floods, wiping away farms, wiping away crops, wiping away homes. But in the longer term, it will mean the loss of basic access to drinking water, to irrigation water. So these threats are all around us, and we now need to recognize that this is an agenda that India need not sit back on, but we actually have to take leadership on. India is, of course, an emerging power. Some people say that we're an emerging superpower. We do have more than a third of all of the poor people on the planet put together, but we also have more billionaires in this country than Japan does. Climate change and greenhouse gas emissions rise should be a particular issue for us, not because historically we've been a part of the problem, but because if we are not to be a part of the problem in the future, we have to prepare to be a part of the problem now. If we look back in history and we look at the period of industrialization from 1850 to 2000, we'll find that it's the former industrialized powers who accounted for the majority of greenhouse gas emissions as they started industrializing and using fossil fuels to power the industrialization. So the United States, for example, accounted for 30% of all of the global emissions in greenhouse gases during the period 1850 to 2000. During that period, India only accounted for 2%. But let's look at more recent history. From the period 1990 to 2000, the period in which our economy has liberalized and the period in which we have grown most and brought a large number of people out of poverty, the greenhouse gas emissions of the United States have risen by 16%. However, the greenhouse gas emissions of India have risen by 51%. Of course, our emissions on a per capita level no way match that of the United States or Western powers. We still emit on a per capita basis 1/20 that of the average American. But this is not about what we're emitting now, but what we're going to be emitting in the future, and more importantly than that, how we need to learn from the mistakes of the past to leapfrog those development hurdles and create a very different paradigm of modernization based on clean energy, renewable energy, and a future which saves resources rather than depletes them. Last year, my organization, the Center for Social Markets, started a national mobilization and awareness raising campaign called Climate Challenge India. We did this because we feel that India has a lot to offer the world in finding solutions to the problem of climate change. The slogan for our campaign is that India has 1 billion good reasons for leadership. We say this because we have great faith that we have the capability, technological, human, and institutional, to help find the solutions for climate change. We also do this because there's something quite unique about the Indian population, and that is our youth, you people. You are our future, and you are also currently the majority and the growing majority in our population. We have a demographic dividend, not a demographic deficit, as other countries such as China have. So I'm very proud that young people like yourselves are getting together, organizing themselves, informing themselves, and seeking to provide solutions in the near term for this major challenge. So let's see what the action agenda is. We all have a role to play. Government has a role to play, business has a role to play, civil society, academia, the scientific community, the arts and cultural community. However, the important thing is that we must all play a mutually supportive and reinforcing role. We know that our government, after a year of deliberation, has finally released a national action plan on climate change, with its 8 strategic missions. Our job must be to learn about this and to work with the government in devising strategies for implementation so that the ambitions of the government are strengthened, that they actually see realization in practical efforts on the ground. We know that our business is acting. Many of our top companies are already striving to be carbon neutral, or carbon positive even, or water positive, to start producing products and services that are actually ecologically sound, that actually make a sound and positive difference to people's lives. We know that there are young entrepreneurs who are benefiting from the interest in clean technology, in low carbon innovation. We must strengthen by consuming the products and services of these young entrepreneurs and from these large companies, so that we give the market the right incentive to support and reward those entrepreneurs and those businesses that are seeking to reorient our economy towards a green economy, because that has to be our future. India is a country that will continue to need to consume. We have a small minority of our country right now, which is of course the consuming class, the middle class. We have something like 20 million people who add to the middle classes every year. And these people will not to restrain their carbon footprint. However, they will need to learn about their carbon footprint and to start to consume in a much more sustainable and ecologically responsible manner. Equally, however, we have the majority of our population which is currently under-consuming, and we need to work with our innovators, with our scientists and others to provide goods and services for them, such as basic access to energy resources, which are affordable, which are safe, and which are reliable. All of these challenges are within our grasp to find solutions to. It's in your lifetime, your generation, that many of these solutions will be found. 2009 will be a very, very important year, a landmark year, a watershed in international action on climate change. Why? Because by the end of the year in Copenhagen, we hope that we will have agreement towards a new international framework, engaging all countries on positive action on climate change. We all have a role to play in that, of course. Amongst the positive developments are that in 2009, we will have a new president in the White House, someone who fills us with hope and optimism, because he has agreed that the United States must be part of the leadership solution for climate change. Someone who has agreed that as an international community, we need to strive towards massive reductions in greenhouse gas emissions, to the order of 80% greenhouse gas reductions by 2050. 2009, of course, are also when our politicians are going to be going to the polls. And that's why I want you to please learn about the elections and try and put climate change in the center of discussions. Try and help translate why climate change issues should be an election matter. This is not a mysterious issue. Climate change will affect virtually every aspect of our lives. At its core, it's about our ability to secure access to certain basic things that make life possible: water, food, access to energy. Climate change will impact each of these areas, and we know these are issues that people in this country, as everywhere else, care deeply about. So today, as you are striving to learn more, recognize that you are part of a pioneering new generation of young Indians whose responsibility it will be to help us meet the climate challenge and set an example to the world. In the course of your discussions today, I'm sure that many of you will come up with some excellent ideas, some good suggestions for where we need to go in terms of communicating the importance of climate change to the masses, but also in terms of very specific suggestions that you may make for our policymakers to listen to. Don't keep these good ideas to yourselves. Share them with us, share them with the media, share them with the policymakers, send them to the Prime Minister's office. Make sure that they make a difference. We need all the creativity and all the imagination that we can. So, dear friends, young people, even though I'm not able to join you today in person, I want to thank you very much for your attention, and I want to wish you a good, enjoyable, and above all, a productive day. Thank you, and have a successful conference.